right, hi guys, we're back. I hope you all had a happy new year and a Merry Christmas. Christmas had already happened by last time, right? I don't remember.
I don't know. Well, yeah, you know what? Yeah.
It was the day after Christmas,
Yes,
the last
it
time we
was.
were on here, that's right. Okay, so we hope you guys all had a happy new year. And thank you for hopping on and watching us live again. So let us know if you're catching this live. Type it in the comments, or if you're catching the replay, let us know too. So we can say hello, and to let us know where you're watching from too, because it's always nice to see where you guys are all from. So thank you again for tuning in. And today our topic we have on our whiteboard, that's the right way again, figured it all out, is how do I know when to replace my system? So I know that's a big one. When the question popped up when we were asking, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely something that we need to talk about. And it's not super simple to answer, right?
No. I mean, there's so many, so many different circumstances. I guess there's sometimes, there are certain circumstances where it's legitimately better to replace the system, but it's not always up to, like us as a service company, it's not always up to us to decide that. I mean, what a good company should do is analyze the system, analyze your situation, and give you all the options that you have. And maybe one of those options may be replacing the system, or maybe it's time to upgrade the system. But again, it's up to you. It should always be up to the customer or the owner to make that decision, because it's obviously they're the ones that are going to spend the money for
right.
it, and they're the ones that know their situation better than we do. All we know is what kind of shape the heating and air conditioning system is in, and what we can do to make it better, and how much it's going to cost.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
So, if doing a thorough analysis of it, you'll be able to have all the options on the table, and that way the consumer can make the decision based on their situation.
Okay. So I guess what are typically like common reasons why replacing a system would be the best option for someone?
One of the obvious ones was if the system is not working at all.
Yeah.
If it's not working at all, and it's an old system, then replacing it might be one of the options. I made a little list here of some of the reasons, so I wouldn't forget, because I always get sidetracked sometimes. I'm getting old and I forget stuff. But that would be one of them. If the system's not working at all, and somebody comes out and says, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, maybe a little high dollar repairs type of things, well, then maybe considering replacing the unit is a good option. Another one too is if your system is working, and we do get a lot of those. My system is working, but it's just not cooling like it used to, type of thing. Systems get old, equipment, motors wear out, and sometimes you're just not getting the capacity or the cooling or the heating that you need from the unit, simply because it's wearing out. So that might be a legitimate time to maybe think about replacing the system. Or another one, where we get a lot of this in the summer. People call us up and they're telling us it's costing them a fortune.
Oh yeah.
A fortune to run their system. I was looking at the numbers the other day, so I don't mess them up anymore. and it was in 2006 that the minimum efficiency rating in the state of California went up to 13 SEER. SEER stands, it's SEER, and it stands for Seasonal Energy Efficiency Rating. You can think of it like miles per gallon. Okay. So the higher the number, the better mileage you get out of your system. In other words, it costs you less to operate to give you the same comfort. So before that, I think the minimum was 10, which is not very efficient. So one thing to consider, where you would consider the option of replacing your system, is if you have a system that was built or installed before 2006. And that one, there's some statistics, and we made some Anyway, there's some statistics out there where it'll show that even if your system is working, you're better off replacing it with a more efficient system. There's so many, every manufacturer has like financing options and specials and stuff, that type of thing. So the amount of money you save monthly on your monthly bill would probably make the payment if you finance it. So anybody that's got a system that's older than 2006, it would be a good consideration to think about replacing that unit.
Yeah, and I know in the summers out here it gets
so
hot, and it's sad because I know that there are a lot of people who will choose not to run their air conditioner even though it's so uncomfortable. Like they'll wait until they're like dying, like so uncomfortable to run it just because it costs so much to run it. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, today's technologies. I mean, I'm amazed at how efficient the units are now. I mean, it used to be back in the day, when I was like maybe in the 70s or so, 70s and 80s, where a lot of people would prefer using what they call a swamp cooler. Some of you might be familiar with something like that, because it only had one motor. It was a lot cheaper to run. Well, you got air conditioning units that keep you very comfortable, very cool, that use a lot less energy than even a swamp cooler.
Oh wow!
So that's where technology has brought us, and again, I think I've said something like this before about everybody complains about the state of California. There's all the regulations and all this, but it's because the state, California has been a leader in these kinds of things, that they've developed all these units that are so much more efficient and cost a lot less to operate, put less stress on the grid, that type of thing, and and ultimately it's easier on your pocket, and that's the main thing, because the only reason to have a air conditioning or heating system in your home is because you want to be comfortable.
Yes.
That's it. It's about comfort. It's about being comfortable in your home. Now, trying to make it affordable, it's the best thing that can happen. I mean, everybody wants to be comfortable at home. Now, another thing that we do get a lot of calls for, and this is a decision that most of the time our customers or consumers make, is they'll call us and they'll say some of the estimates that we go on, the system is working, but they say it's so old and they don't want it to break down in the middle of the summer. So that's one of the reasons why they want to upgrade now while they can, when they have either the money or they have whatever plan they have to replace that system. They can do that now. Now, that's a really good way of looking at it, because this way you're in control of what you're going to do. That way you're replacing the system when you're able to, as opposed to waiting until it breaks down. In other words, it's better to be proactive sometimes than reactive. Reactive, you don't have a choice. Your system is dead. The repairs are too high, and you can't. It's not. It doesn't make any sense to put a lot of money on a high, an expensive repair on an old system that's just going to kind of nickel and dime it again. It's your option. This is what your tech is supposed to give you: is everything, analysis, and all the options, and then you make up your mind and see what's best for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, you just said something that made me think of something, and then
there you go. Wait a minute, I said something to make you think of something?
No, you were talking about oh my gosh, I can't think of it. I can't think.
But I think, and we were talking about this earlier, the main point is it's your decision.
Yes.
Don't let anybody come into your home and tell you, I think you should change your equipment.
Yes.
Because that's not, I don't think we've ever suggested that to anybody. We analyze the system, we do our analysis, and put the options on the table and see which one best suits our customers. We don't know. No company knows what your situation is.
Right.
And they shouldn't assume that they do.
Yes, and I think that's kind of what I was going to say, is that this whole idea of being proactive versus reactive is when you have to make a decision on what you're going to install or what you're going to do when it's the middle of summer, 110 degrees, and your system's done.
Yeah.
It's so much harder to make a good informed decision when the stakes are so high. Like you're it's stressful. Like you're in an emergency situation, and it's so much harder to make a decision. A more, I guess, like logical or sound decision when you're kind of you don't have a choice.
Against the wall.
yeah, and it's easier to I guess to be pressured into something that you're maybe not ready for, or that you're not totally it's not going to be the best decision for you.
Yeah. You don't have much of a choice. So how good of a decision is that? It's not really something that you want to do, something you have to do.
Right.
So sometimes being proactive is a lot better. It's a lot better. And again, with so many options and make it so easy so affordable to do the air conditioner feed. It's sometimes it's better to be proactive.
Right.
But never, it's never okay for anybody to tell you this is what you have to do. Never. It's like, another question that I get asked a lot too is when I put all the options on the table and they said, well, if this was your house, what would you do? And that's really a hard question, because a lot of times, you're tempted to say, well, if this is my house, this is what I would do. But you really can't even do that, because I usually tell them, well, I'm not in your situation. I don't know what your whole situation, or financial situation, how important getting this air conditioning going is. I mean, it might be more important to me than it is to you. It might be less important to me. I may say, I don't know, I'm moving out, something.
Yeah.
So even that, is not always the best way to help you make a decision. The only thing that you can do is say, well, or ask more questions. What do you plan on doing? What do you think is going to happen? So that, but again, ultimately, it's your decision. It should never be the tech's decision or the salesman, whoever's going out there and giving you an estimate. It should never be their decision what you're going to buy. It's your decision.
Or they can't really tell you what's best for you. They can just show you this is what's possible, but what's best for you is nobody knows like you.
Yeah, not exactly. And the only way that we can do better is ask a lot of questions. I tend to do that a lot. I ask, what about this? What about that? And I'm trying to get a feel of what the needs are of that particular person. That way, together we can design a system, or together we can decide what's the best option for you. I give the information and they make the decision, because they're ultimately responsible for paying.
Yeah, and they're going to be affected by it the most. They're
the ones that live with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, what questions do we have?
Hey, all right,
Robert.
we got Robert again. Hi, Robert. And I think Amanda's on here watching. And Jeanette. Hi, Jeanette. Okay, so Robert says, I told him it's not fair because I can do it myself. Yeah. It's not a fair question.
Yeah. That's Robert, who's a tech back in the East Coast. He's my best friend's son. He's a good tech, so yeah, he's absolutely right. I mean, the decision that I would make is based on my situation, and I'm like, oh heck, I can fix it for whatever, or it doesn't cost me as much as it would cost you, type of thing, whatever it is. It is. You're right, Robert. It's not a fair question.
Yeah.
So the best thing for us to do is give them as much information as they need, so they can make the decision.
So what? I have a couple things I guess I'm thinking about. So what would be a question that they should be asking then? If somebody's like, okay, I think I might need to replace my system, but what should they be considering while they're considering that, I guess?
Yeah. There are a lot of questions that I ask, or if they're one of our customers that has been there, that has been our customer for a long time, I look at our records, what kind of repairs they've had, if they had any major repairs, if we can expect any more major repairs, and what it's been costing them to run. The electric bills would help, and all those things, you put them together, and that gives them a better idea as to what the best decision should be. So if your unit is costing you a lot on repairs, and you're constantly doing major repairs at least once a year or whatever, and it is costing you a lot. Electricity goes up every year. So it's not going to cost you less. But if your system is so inefficient that it's really, like you were saying, some people are just not using it because they can't afford it, that's not a good situation to be in.
Yeah.
Especially out here in Southern California, that could be dangerous even, But,
yeah.
So you don't want to be in that situation. So you take all those things into consideration, and then you may yourself decide, this is a good option. And we, again, I always say this, but good reputable companies will try to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we're out here serving you,
yeah,
making sure that you're comfortable. That's our job. It's not taking your money, because that's terrible.
Yeah, it's like helping them find solutions. Like they have this problem, we're here to help them find a solution to that.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking about is the age of the system.
Mm-hmm.
So when, so say somebody, like, their system is generally working fine, as in it turns on and it cools the home and it heats the home well enough, but it's old.
Right.
So what age do you think is something where even if your system is still kind of like it works enough, but you get what I'm saying? Like, what age should they start considering maybe replacing it anyways?
Well, I was saying earlier that in 2006, in the state of California, and I thought it was going to have all this, up here, but I don't remember when it went federally. That's the reason. But in the state of California, the minimum efficiency rating for an air conditioning unit was 13 SEER, and that was a huge jump from a 10 SEER. So that's almost 20% jump, which means, and now it's a 14 SEER, which is 30%, depending on how you use it, could be 30 to 40% savings. So if you can see that, if you got a unit that's was installed or built before 2006, then replacing it with a more efficient unit, you're actually it's actually not costing you, and you're better off doing that, even if the system is running, because what it's costing you to operate this thing, what you would be saving with a more efficient unit, would pay for the difference. Your return on investment, and in some cases, depending on how much you use it, you're actually saving money, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
And that's a way to figure that out based on your usage, what you pay for electricity, and the efficiency of your existing system compared to what you want to replace it with. And whoever comes out and gives you estimates should have all those things ready for you. And that's all information for you to be able to make a good, informed decision.
Yeah, and then on top of that, there's usually, I guess it depends on what company does, electricity or whatever where you're at. There's usually incentives, like there's rebates and stuff available. I know SCE doesn't have all the stuff they used to, but there's still, but there's still, it's worth looking into.
Yes, utility rebates, and they're always, well, they haven't been in our area for a while, but other areas do. They want you to install more efficient equipment, because that way, it doesn't put the stress on the grid, and they don't have to build more plants and that kind of thing. And, in the long run, you benefit from it because you save money. It doesn't cost you as much to run your air conditioning. And air conditioning is more expensive now, but they're building them better so they last you longer. So you can have a system that's saving you money for a longer period of time. It's going to last you longer too.
Yeah, and I think that, bringing that up, I think that's something that is kind of, I guess, can be like a stumbling block for some people, is the price. They get sticker shock with the new system sometimes, especially if their system is so old, so they haven't even had to worry about it.
Yeah,
the cost of it.
And again, this is where all the financing options comes in handy. And most manufacturers have some kind of a setup, some kind of specials or anything like that to make their equipment affordable. That way, and most of them are like no money down. Some of them will give you up to 7, I think Trane is even like 10 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to pay up. So your payment is like so low, and what you would be saving on energy costs monthly is a lot more than what your payment would be. See, this is where it comes in, where it's actually making you money. Because if you leave your old unit, you'd be using all this energy, But if you buy your new unit, finance it, and the energy savings more than pays for the payment. You know, and now that they're extended to 10 years, my God, sometimes it's an easier decision to make. You know, and again, everybody, all the manufacturers try to make it affordable for everybody because they understand that the cost of the equipment, and especially with, you know, raw materials, everything, you know, metals, and because of the tariffs and all this other stuff. We're not going to get political here.
It's just the facts.
Just facts, yeah. It affected our industry a lot, so that's why equipment went up. You know, it's kind of hard to sometimes communicate that to a customer. We tell them, we're really not making any more money. It's just the equipment costs.
Yeah. Okay, so Robert has another question here. It says, do you have anyone that asks about warranties for labor?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we do. Almost every time I go on some type of an estimate, people are always concerned with that. What's the warranty on the equipment, and what about the labor? Because they don't want to worry about this piece of equipment that they just spend a good amount of money with, or they invest. I call it an investment because it really is. Or even if they, sorry about that.
Real life. On call.
Yeah, on call. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So they don't want to worry about it. Most manufacturers right now are giving you 10 years warranty on all the parts. Some are giving you up to 12 years. And there's extended warranties, labor warranties that you can purchase. Again, don't be fooled when people say, "Oh, we give it to you." They're not giving it to you because it costs them money. Somehow it's built into the price. I tell customers, yeah, you can, but it's going to cost a certain amount of money. We don't hide it in our price or anything. We just tell them this is going to be X. So we usually give it at our own cost, which is that's what we do. But it would be good to get a 10-year or 12-year labor warranty, so that way, peace of mind. You don't have to worry about that system for at the very least 10 years. Yeah. Good question.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. I don't think we have any other new ones.
More questions?
No, we don't have any other newer ones.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, I don't know if you have anything else. I don't know how long. Let me check how long we've been.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
Yeah, good.
I think we're good.
Unless anybody else has any more questions that they want to throw at us before we sign off. But either way, if you do have questions and you're seeing this after we already close out of here, just leave them in the comments and we'll make sure we answer them next time that we come on. I do kind of want to just throw out there again too about the whole Freon thing, because now we're officially in effect to remind you guys that R22 refrigerant is not illegal. And if you need more information as a consumer, as a homeowner, about the whole phase out and what that means for you if you have an R22 system, you can look at our last post. I think actually yesterday I reposted it.
Oh, that's right.
But we had our Wisdom Wednesday post about that, and we also had our first episode of Ask a Tech. We talked about that in depth, and there's also a link to the EPA's website that has a frequently asked questions, so you can look directly from them who are doing the phase out. Read directly from them about what it means, because bottom line, we don't want anybody to feel like they're scared into replacing their system because of the phase out. So no, you don't. If you have an R22 system, you don't legally have to replace it. This is bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah. So I just want to put that out there because I know now it's starting to come out a lot more now that we're in the new year. Look, Robert does have one other question.
Let's see what it is.
He says, I have people ask, just because they have R22, should I replace? What would you say?
What would I say? Again, looking at all their history and putting all the options on the table. For example, if they've had major repairs, or if it's without going into brands, there's certain brands that after a while give more problems than others when it comes to major repairs. If I can somehow foresee, for example, a compressor. If a compressor is starting to draw high amps, it's starting to make no noise or something like that, that is the most, it's about as major repair as you can have. It's the most expensive repair that is. Then I would say, look, your compressor's starting to sound bad. I don't know. It might be something, maybe, you know, there's something that you can consider. But again, it's not just because it's an R22 system. I know a lot of companies have taken advantage of that and selling a lot of equipment just because they're R22 system. But I don't want people to think that just because you have an R22 system, you have to replace it now. It may not be the best option right now, but if it is, then it is. It's your decision, not ours. It should never be ours.
Right.
It should always be yours, based on your situation, and hopefully getting all the information you need to make a good decision. Because people are scaring you with the R22 stuff.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like it's something to consider, but it's not the end all.
It's not, exactly. That's what some companies want you to believe because they can sell a lot of equipment that way. The goal is to help you.
Yes,
The goal is
absolutely. So, all right, you guys, thank you again for watching and hanging out with us for this time, and thank you, Robert, too. I think I can speak for both of us. We really appreciate that you come on here and engage with us. It's it's fun. So again, if you guys have questions, leave them in the comments, and we'll see you guys next week, Thursday at 5 o'clock. So.
Looking forward to it. See you guys then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.